And a one. Bing. We're live. It's Sam and Nicola. It is the Kent Beck Scrum. Today, sort of a special day, we're doing a design sprint for a French group for the My Note Boat project. Yep, and that's pretty much what's been done all day. That seems to be going reasonably well, although I think, it's interesting. We're going to, I think, kind of come down to like working out how the rest of the sprint is gonna run after this scrum. Now, other things going on in the background. I was supposed to be taking a vacation last week, but then I was ill, and I ended up trying to finish up the work for the Anthony Powell Society, which I have made some progress on. I also managed to put in some bids for another paid project, and yeah, just gonna get sorted up, catch up on some admin. Is there other stuff? I don't know. The main thing has been also rearranging this week so we can put all of the other things aside in order to have the design sprint take up, fit that in. Hey Ben, good to see you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear you right loud and clear? Today's been quite intense. Hopefully, as we go on in the week and we're going to focus on the prototyping, there's going to be a bit more flexibility. Yeah, that's about the size of things. Nicola, how are things going with you?
I've been working on local support on website one. One of the things that I did in website one, it was to fix some pull requests. There is two things to notice on two different pull requests. One that I would like to know in the one that we want to implement an editor.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that is necessary.
Okay.
But if it is necessary, I will need like to pair with you to have a understanding of all the things that are involved with the editor integration. And on local support, I think that it went all well. So I think this week I have to do the deploy to master. So everything going well. No blockers. Yep.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, Nicola. Ben, how are things going with you?
Things are going all right. Yesterday, I paired for quite a long time with Ryder on the Paranauts, and we fixed a few things that seems to not be working, and we had some discussions about various things that would need to be determined before we sort of moved forward to the next step, and so added some tasks to the Trello board.
Right.
So that was more or less I think we fixed up some unit tests, and then thought about how we would move forward with the functionality of having people come to the application and then pair off. It seemed like that hadn't been there's less clarity about that than we would have liked. So
okay.
So I think that's. Other than that, I've been busy with other stuff, but that was very productive for a Sunday.
All right. Yeah, great to hear it. Yes, there's another person who's interested in pairing on Paranauts called L, who seems quite enthusiastic. But yes, we shall pull, and I would have been pairing with Ryder this week, but that'll be next week now. Anyway, cool. Hopefully, we'll all be in the Elixir mob next Monday. We can look at them. Things together in more detail. And anything blocking you at all, Ben? It's
actually yes, but it's not. It's the same blocker I've had. The WikiEDU dashboard thing.
Right.
It's been. I feel bad because for a while Sage would be pretty quick to respond, and then it would take me like a day or so to get back to him. But now that's been reversed, and I think that it's just a matter of trying to get an admin person to enable something so that I can create a testing stuff. I mean, they have to enable translations on a text on the meta wiki, which neither I nor Sage has the authority to do, apparently.
Right.
He's got to ask somebody, because I don't know anybody. And that's been like more than a week now. So I'm a bit stalled on that, unfortunately, which is too bad, because I was really digging into the internationalization task, like loading up the stuff and figuring out how to translate all the different bits of it and then reassemble it. But unfortunately, I've sort of lost the plot.
Yeah, sounds complicated.
Yeah.
Hear you.
But, as soon as I hear from him, I'll sort of go back into action and hopefully finish the thing and submit a PR.
Good show. Excellent. Well, great to catch up with you. And Ben, if you're free, do feel free to join us in the design sprint. I think you're in the channel. We're also recording all of it for your edification.
What's the schedule for that?
The schedule is also in the thing there. I've got I'll take it's all in UTC times. I'll just share that directly in your premium channel here. Let's see if we do that.
All right.
There we go.
Today I was going to join, but a local client required some hand holding, but that'll be just today.
No worries. Well, I'm very pleased that the client agreed to allow us to record and share, and that just means that's it's all good fun.
Valuable.
That's our Scrum.
All right.
So yeah, we're on a kind of a time limit to get back into the sprint. I was just gonna come and jump in here and some of these issues that on website 1 that Nicola had been asking for feedback on. I see here that you're mentioning with this one from Praveen that we don't have a loop anymore in the code. Is that something that I see, right? Okay, so I think I missed that. Right before there was an infinite loop, and now
the thing is that I posted the code of the sham, and that code has a loop, and it may be confusing because of that. Because
but
I did a review.
Yeah. Yes. No, I think I just missed this loop. Where I was sort of looking at this, and the main. I think I was focused on this and seeing that. Okay, this we're now doing it with a retry timeout and a retry wait and so on, and it had not. Right, I didn't see that there was now no loop. But I would still, in this one, because the bug report is that when we have an empty GitHub repo, this it gets stuck. Now, obviously, to any sensible person, all right, we remove the loop, but that doesn't mean that the same problem couldn't be caused under the hood. Do you know what I mean? I
get it.
This has got some of those things. So this is one of those tricky situations where it looks like we should definitely just merge this in, because by removing this...
Now what we have to do is to, for example, if we have a nil response, contributors, it will return an empty array. But the thing is that we are not testing, I think, we are not testing when we have an empty array. So when we don't have information there. So that is something that we have to cover.
Yes, and so that we have this thing here of, ideally, with any failure that we've had in the system, we start. If we're being rigorous, we start with a test that, even before we try and fix it, we start with a test that elicits the same problem. Of course, if it's that it runs in an infinite loop, I think actually the testing framework will stop it after a while, but so on. So yeah, I'm kind of in a quandary there, sensible to merge it in, but then we run into this dangerous thing of we've fixed things, but we don't have the test coverage that goes with it. So
no, don't merge it. It was open to discussion.
Yeah. So if that makes sense, it would be great. Ultimately, I'll be pairing with Praveen next week to look at it again anyway. But if you have a chance with him and can take a stab at some kind of testing approach, that would be really valuable. The other one that you mentioned was the editor. And I put a comment in there.
Yeah, it was more because I don't really understand how it's really connected with everything. So I was taking a look to the code and I said, okay, maybe this can be done just with some AJAX request to the specific fields that we want to update per each page. So we don't need really an editor for what we want to do.
The thing is, the advantage of an editor is that, for example, if I want to change the About Us page, I can do that immediately, and it just happens, right? If we don't have an editor, if we want to change the text on any of the static pages, then we need a pull request to go in to develop.
It's working with all the pages. Okay.
Yeah, right. So
I thought that it was only with the projects, because that was how far I could follow the code.
Okay. Yeah, no, the editor, I mean, it's actually, at the moment, it's because we had a problem with some people like randomly editing things, we switched off like global editing of just pages. So, but in principle, lots of things throughout the site, not just the individual project pages are, I mean, even with the project pages, I mean, this is the thing, is that actually, rather than in the first place adding an editor, maybe it would have been better, as I've seen some other places do, is that rather than supporting a whole document system, as we've ended up with in here, that these things would be pulled out of GitHub via API, like that everybody would just put the documentation in GitHub and we would reflect them here in the same way that Odin project has all of its curriculum in GitHub, where people can then submit pull requests and so on, and then it just gets, you know, displayed here. And so there's no, we're not like replicating all of the functionality that GitHub has. But anyway, this is back in the day when I was totally unable to convince the initial people working on this that they shouldn't just like keep adding and adding and adding and adding and adding stuff. we have this huge maintenance debt for all these different things. But they went ahead and added it. But what it does allow here, this is the editor operating, is that, you know, we basically have a wiki system here. So that people can immediately edit and update this thing. And if you see the wiki aspect of it as a feature, then that's why we need an editor. And the problem is that the Mercury editor doesn't work with Rails 5. And we previously had to go and upgrade it, and you know all of that bit.
So, I understand that part. Yeah, I was able to understood that part, but I wasn't able to understand all the functionality that you are explaining me here now.
And so, I mean, the thing is actually like the medium editor is kind of like a nice to have. Like it would be I kind of quite like being able to quickly edit and change pages. Like when I have a new idea about the premium plan, or you know, it's like at the same. I mean, the other thing about the Mercury editor is that it's kind of clunky. You can't add JavaScript. It's got you know, just other sorts of issues and problems with it. And so in some ways, I'm a bit sick of, like, if we said, oh, it's just simpler to have no editor and we'll just update pages via pull request, or if we really want ultimately people to be able to have these detailed project pages, let's tear all of this out and just import, because like the SHF project and other project, people they ignore the functionality that we provide here in terms of document editing, and like specifically the SHF project, they say to everybody, go and look at the wiki in GitHub, because that they would rather use that than use our custom wiki that we have here. And that's maybe that means that I mean, you could say, oh, why are these SHF people not using all this great functionality we created for them? Or we could say, well, maybe we're just replicating all this functionality that GitHub offers anyway. And
we gotta be consuming that.
Right, and we should adapt to the way in which, because some people are going to discover the projects through GitHub anyway. I mean, it's partly that Thomas's initial vision for this site was that it should be a one-stop shop, that you would be able to do everything. It would have the wiki, you'd have articles, it would be a blogging system, it would do everything. I mean, although we were outsourcing like code storage to GitHub and like links to Pivotal Tracker for that sort of stuff, and that was a very grand and big vision. It was very different from my vision, and that's partly why you know, I wanted to build the simplest possible thing.
And you start building based on that.
And then but they're different approaches. I mean, and I think, you know, there's one or other is not right or wrong, but we've ended up where we are now several years on, and we've got a bit of a maintenance debt issue. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, something to think about.
I will try to do my best to upgrade to medium.
Yeah, well, and have a go, because I mean, maybe that whole pathway is far more complicated than I imagine. And ultimately, anything that gets rid of mercury will ultimately sort of make me happy. But
okay, I get it.
That stuff's poisonous.
I mean, I think the great editor for its time. It didn't get maintained, and then it's gone that way. Right. Well, I'm going to quickly go make some tea before our sprint continues. Great to see both of you. I look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye for now.
Bye bye.